welcome. Today is Monday, July 11th, 2022. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup. I hope you had a fantastic weekend, and I'm so glad that you are here. Good morning, Mark and Jenny and John and Gad and Andrew and all the rest of you. Whether you're watching live later or listening, thanks for coming by. How was your weekend? I want to hear all about your weekend. I know at least some of you did some martial arts stuff, so I want to know about it. I want to know what you did. I want to know if it was fun. I want to know if you learned something, because those are my two check boxes. When you do anything martial arts wise, when you go to class, when you go to a seminar, when you compete, did you have fun and did you learn something? And if you can continually check those two boxes, that is the road to perpetual growth. Andrew says, morning all, up early because of insomnia. I'm sorry. The one plus side, I get to join you all. There's a silver lining to everything. And good morning, Frank. Frank's on vacation this week. Enjoy, Frank. And I knew Andrew had this, and I just wasn't quite able to make it work in my schedule. A monthly session of advanced training in Keene. It was super fun and did learn stuff. Great. What's better than that? I had a good weekend. What did I do? So Friday, Superfoot training in, where was that? Manchester, New Hampshire, with Terry Dow, Bill Wallace's top student. Had a good time, worked on some stuff. Had a kind of leisurely drive home. Was supposed to meet up with a friend Friday night. They rescheduled. That was a bummer, but that's okay. Took myself out to dinner, had a wonderful meal. Saturday, did a bunch of work around here and traveled to some other friends who, Vermont's one of those weird places. You know, I drove somewhere that, as the crow flies, is like 35 miles away, maybe less. Takes an hour and a half to get there. It's very annoying. For a 17-year-old's birthday party, what was more of just a family gathering sort of style. But I mean, I held this kid on like day 2. I've known him forever, and he's grown into quite a good kid. Did martial arts for a little while even, and so hung out with his family, crashed there, drove back. Yesterday morning was cold. I had the doors off the Jeep, and it was like 56 degrees. I was like, it's cold. Got back, did a bunch more work in the yard. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know, I've been threatening to set up a farm stand. It's up. Stacy also had insomnia. First day of camp jitters. Oh, have fun. Jenny trained on Saturday and learned that she knows nothing about the things she thought she knew, which is basically the biggest lesson in martial arts, but it still sneaks up on me from time to time. LOL. I think we've all been there. I've learned. Here's what I've learned. I've learned 2 things about those moments because I've had those moments. Number 1, you've done nothing wrong. You have nothing to be embarrassed or sorry or feel guilty about. We are the result of the training that we have. We cannot have all training. And number 2, remember that even if it's subconsciously, everyone teaching is going to prioritize the things that they know. If you step into a seminar with someone who's been training and teaching for 40, 50 years, and they're a very good teacher, and they're very good at teaching what they teach, but it's dramatically different from what you know. Even if that doesn't line up with your goals in martial arts, you're going to feel like you're missing something. There's a gravity, a charisma that comes from that good instructor. So be careful of rearranging your life because there's a style of training or an element of training that you just haven't done. Good morning, Brian. Frank says they had zucchini patties made from Bisquick for dinner last night. I don't know what those are. Is that like a veggie burger substitute? Speaking of zucchini, we're at that stage in summer where my garden plants have kind of figured out where all their roots need to go. And they're like, okay, time to make squash. I was looking in one of the sections and I was like, I wasn't quite sure what I put here. I thought it was watermelon. It's watermelon. They're watermelon growing in there. The spaghetti squash are going insane. I'm going to have food coming out of my ears. And that's why I'm glad I got the farm stand up, which all it has right now is some of the house plants. And I'm going to get some more there because I have too many. I'm just trying to make the money back on the pots and the dirt. And for some of them, I'll try to make a little bit of money. But most of them, and I put out some hazelnuts from last year. But really, just if I can just funnel some of this extra food out, there was an interesting mindset that went into it. And I had to fight with myself on this a few times, and I think that this is very much a martial arts thing. Not what I was fighting against, but the way I ultimately implemented it. So I don't know if having a farm stand 3 miles up a dirt road is sensible. You know, if we look at retail theory, what's the most important thing? Location, location, location. My location is terrible. So this experiment could just be pointless. Might not work out. I did already sell 2 plants to neighbors, one of whom I'd never met, which was awesome. I mean, maybe not a neighbor. She's half a mile down the road. But that's really the main reason. I don't care if I really make money, but if I get to meet people on this road, I'm all for it. But if it doesn't work, I don't want to put in too much time. I was like, okay, so I'm going to build this custom table out of plywood. And I was like, no, just stop. You don't need to do that. You don't know what you need yet. Start with the basics. What is the basic? What's the most basic, simple version? I need to put up a canopy. I need to put out a folding table, and I need to put out a few signs with the plants and price tags. Done. Still took like 3 hours. Oh, coffee came out good. Yeah, it must be something about the theanine. Maybe I'm putting too much theanine in. Remember last week when the coffee wasn't tasting well? Jenny says, if you have too much food, feel free to bring some to Pennsylvania in a couple of weeks. Let's see. What's going to be ready? There may be tomatoes in a couple of weeks. My tomato crops never do well. I don't plant very many of them. Although I planted a bunch this year, and in some spots they're doing okay. Tomato bugs usually kill my tomatoes. Sorry, I had a mental detour as I was thinking about. I did some painting on some things because Saturday the weather was great. It was perfect for painting. There was just enough wind to keep the bugs off. It wasn't too hot, but it was bright and sunny, so the paint dried fast, and I was painting like a madman. Painting just random. I was just walking by. People walked by. I painted them. That's not true. But I may have some food that I bring down. We'll see. Frank says that his Bisquick zucchini patties remind me of potato pancakes. They're made with shredded zucchini. They were very good. Okay. All right. I'm with you. That sounds really good. And if it's Bisquick, it's kind of like it's like a zucchini bread biscuit, but thin. Okay. Those sound really good. Those do sound really good. Andrew says, in Vermont, half a mile is a neighbor. Hell, 2 miles is a neighbor. It's true. It's true. Pretty much everybody on this road is my neighbor. I'm 2 miles up the road. The road continues for another couple miles, and there are a number of spines that go off. But I would call everybody up here a neighbor, especially if I was introducing them to someone else. Oh, so-and-so, my neighbor. They live 3 miles that way. Um, remember last week when I saw the coyote? I told a few people about it, and they were cautiously surprised and cautious. Yeah, because they're not supposed to be a coyote in the yard in the daytime. Anything else to tell you about the weekend? I don't think so. I kicked some stuff. I punched some stuff. Had a good time kicking and punching stuff on Friday. Realized I was exhausted, physically tired, and it wasn't exactly cool Friday in the gym. But I got some stuff I can work on, and I definitely need to work on some cardio. Most of my cardio has been picking up heavy things and walking around with it outside, which is not the same as bringing the intensity level and the heart rate up. So I might need to do some. Actually, that's probably what I'll do. I'll get on the rower at the gym and or the ski erg because I prefer that and do some sprints. Some sprint intervals would be a good idea. What's going on today? Well, today, another episode of Martial Arts Radio. I'm pumped about that. Let's double check. Whose episode is this? Your videos. Oh, I don't know. I gotta look over here because it's not on YouTube yet. Podcast episodes current. Oh, nice. Today's episode is with someone who has had a rather substantial. Yeah, Andrew. If I hadn't looked, that wouldn't have been enough. Andrew's helping me out. He's giving me initials. I'm not nearly awake enough to pick up on initials. I don't think. Anyway, this is someone who has pretty much dedicated their life to martial arts and advancing knowledge, etc. And it was really an honor to get to talk to him because he's approached his martial arts, his career, his professional life in a different way than a lot of people. That is Dr. Jerry Beasley. For those, most of you, if you know Jerry Beasley, you know him most likely as one of the founders of Karate College in, where's that, North Carolina, Virginia, one of those states. And he founded it with Bill Wallace, Joe Louis, and Renzo Gracie. I believe it was Renzo. He was also a full-time professor of martial arts studies. They designed this program and he taught it for decades. And I find that really interesting. So we got to talk about that. I'm pretty pumped about this episode. So I hope that you all enjoy it. Stacy says JB is Justin Bieber because that's what Andrew put in the chat. He wrote JB, and I would have looked at that and gone. And Andrew says he was a good get. He absolutely was. He was wonderful to talk to. And if it's important to you to be a student of martial arts history, there are episodes that are more important than others. Some of the episodes we have are wonderful stories. Some of the episodes we have are amazingly inspiring. Some of them are very relatable. Some of them are all of those things. But we also have kind of this fourth I don't know if I want to call them categories because I've never thought of it like this, but we also have episodes that I think are important historically. The one that comes to mind most is Bruce Jutnick's episode, where we seem to talk primarily about history, but he was also very vocal about the importance of knowing your history. Well, this is another episode that I think, when you consider historical elements, is pretty important. Stacy, responding to my comment about my cardio, says the Rona ×2 has mucked with my lungs. This will be interesting. This week will be interesting. My stamina and cardio. Just a reminder, kind of a plug. for the fuel program for any of you. I got an awesome testimonial from someone. We started talking about this a couple months ago. She is a woman from Australia, and she used the fuel program to get ready for her black belt test. And she got to the end. She's like, I had more gas. I could have kept going. Yeah. That's the power of training in the right way. And it can be implemented in a lot of different ways. So when I talk about sprint intervals, that's the stuff that I do, and how I'm going to do it will be based on those principles. That's how I felt after the Superfoot testing in January. We ended because other people couldn't keep going. I could have kept going. That's always my goal in a group testing. I don't need to be the best. I just will not be the worst. I want to make sure that everything gets cut off because other people are dying, not me. Which doesn't work if you're the only one testing. So check out that episode. It's there is not a video version of this one, but you can check it out on YouTube and in your podcast player and all that stuff. And just a reminder, if you have guest suggestions or topic suggestions or anything like that, let us know. Andrew and I, we're starting to mix the pot a little bit. We're starting to come up with some concepts, some fun stuff, some different stuff, because I think that's important. 700 something episodes. We gotta mix it up. Andrew, we gotta have our idea meeting, by the way. So what else is going on today? I have a firearms lesson this evening. 1, 2, 3, 4 phone calls. That's it. Not too bad. I was very proud of myself on Friday. I came out of Friday, it being a short week and a recording week. I was terrified that I was going to be really behind on my work. Nope. I came out of Friday, and I even took like a half day on Friday. I did great. I was really proud of myself. And so that means this week, I am not behind the 8 ball. I don't have 10,000 emails I need to get to. And so a day like this where it's 86 degrees, maybe I'll set up a table on the porch, and well, I just kind of set up the table I would have used for that. I don't know. I'll go sit on the porch under the umbrella and have a cold non-alcoholic drink, because I don't do that during the day, and do some work. Watch the trees. Andrew says, we are also recording tomorrow. Yay, yes, we are. You're coming up, right? And Stacy's being a little self-deprecating here, but I will likely always be, quote, the worst in the room, but I'm still there. There are many others who aren't. Easy to remember now. Remind me when I'm promoting again. Well, there are different, when you evaluate a room, and I say this, to Stacy, but also to any of you who have not sat on a testing board, you're looking at a lot of different things. There's physical preparedness, yes, and that's, kind of what we're both talking about. But there are plenty of other things. Are you pushing? Are you pushing hard? Do you know the material, the physical material, the mental material? Are you paying attention? Do you look like you are impassioned to be there? All of these things are relevant. And it is rare that someone leads the pack in all of those things. It is just as rare that someone falls behind in all of those things. When someone does fall behind in all of those things, it means that they're probably not ready, that they probably were rushed to be promoted, or in the context of a school that promotes based on a schedule, they're just going to have to wait for the next testing cycle. Because, as we all know, martial arts is so many different things, and as you spend more time, it is more and more things, and thus that gives us more stuff to be good at and more stuff to be bad at. It is unlikely you're going to be great at every element of martial arts. I'm not great sparring. I'm good. The only reason I'm good because I've got a lot of time in, but I'm not great at it. Forms, forms are my thing. Grappling, not something I've had a lot of time in, right? So if we look into my martial arts toolbox, we'll use that analogy. You'll find that there are some drawers that those are some pretty cheap Dollar General screwdrivers. You're like, oof. And then other drawers, you got Craftsman and Snap-on. That's a really redneck martial arts analogy, but we'll run with it. All right, Andrew is coming up. Good. Frank says the fuel program, is that the strength or speed one, or is this new? No, this is the endurance one. When we rebranded, strength became force, speed became fast, fight conditioning became fuel, and then flex. And it was when flex came out that I realized that we needed to rebrand all of them, because I didn't. Well, I actually, maybe that's not true. Maybe it was flexibility and mobility at first, but I think that was just the working title. I think when we launched it as flex. And I wanted to get all four of them into F names because it worked. Force, flex, fast, fuel. 3 of the 4 letters. 4-letter F words. Jenny says, I can't jump as well as others. All of my jumping kicks look pathetic compared to the teens, young adults I train with, including my own kids, but my intensity is second to none, and my heart is clearly in every movement. Well, you can make a note on that when I come down. If you want me to take a look at your jumping, I can give you some drills, because jumping can be trained like everything else. I'm really inspired on jumping of late. TikTok, I keep seeing these dunk videos, basketball, and they're guys my height, and they're doing crazy stuff, and they're easily clearing the rim. I mean, just it's like, oh, I can't jump like that. In high school, I wanted to jump like that so bad. I was like, oh, if I could dunk a basketball, maybe I'd have a little bit of respect athletically in this school. Doing the things I did with martial arts, and being in the newspaper every other week wasn't enough. It was enough for them to not mess with me. Wasn't enough to have any respect. Martial arts wasn't cool. Well, that's okay. Nice. Jenny's going to take me up on that offer. Yeah, Jenny, Andrew, we gotta talk about logistical plans for New Jersey. Just a reminder, July 24th, I will be outside of Philadelphia. If you want to come to a seminar, Jenny's hosting. So, yep, you can reach if there is an event on Facebook. Easiest way, just given that it's going to be a smaller crowd watching this video, and we're on different platforms. If you're interested in that seminar or any of the seminars, just reach out to me. Just email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com. I'll get you the links. All right. And you know what? You know what that does for us? That takes us pretty much to the end of our first episode in a very long time, where Frank did not give us stuff, because Frank's on vacation and he's got some stuff going on. And I just want to again remind him, and remind all of you, though I'm sure you are quite aware how much Frank means to me and to this show. And I was nervous coming in, going, okay, am I going to be able to find enough to talk about without Frank? Well, guess what? We just did. So I took that responsibility seriously. But yeah, there we go. And as always, a shout out to Josh Plum for our theme music. If anybody wants to help out with the show, if you want to fill in for Frank and provide content, you can do that. Just let me know. Message me, email me, whatever. I hope you check out today's episode with Dr. Jerry Beasley. And he's probably, I don't want to say the only, but one of the few people who uses the term doctor in the martial arts world, who, in my opinion, should be using the term doctor. He has a PhD in martial arts studies. It's not a medical doctor, but it's Doctor of Philosophy in Martial Arts. Yes, PhD, that's what it stands for if you didn't know. Doctor of Philosophy. There are other people who use the term doctor in the martial arts world that I'm not quite sure why. We'll just leave it at that. Titles, right? Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Jenny. All right. I'm going to go drink more coffee and sit here and get ready for work. Thanks for coming by today, everyone. I appreciate all of you. Remember, if you want to support, whistlekick.com with the code FirstCut15. I had to check. I don't know why. The Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. Excuse me. More good, cool, new stuff coming. In addition to all the cool, good, new stuff that's up there. And if you want the whole list, it's whistlekick.com/family. You got to type it in. I update it every week. There's fun stuff behind the scenes, as well as the full list of all the things you can do to help us. Some of them cost you money. Most of them don't. We continue to grow, and that's because of all of you, and I am thankful for that. I can't, with the most recent Patreon numbers, Whistlekick itself is not profitable, but the podcast is now breaks even. If I wedge those numbers, sure, we'll pretend some of these things don't fall under that expense category. Yeah, we'll call it a break even. It's not quite there. I thought it was, and I just remembered one more expense that pushes us over the edge, but we're getting there. And we're getting there because of you. So thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Peace.